Didn't really see this coming, to be honest. And I think there are going to be plenty of opportunities to say, why this, why now? You probably should be saying it out loud to yourself right now. Why this, why now? What are your Dallas Cowboys doing? The reasonable question is, why this, why now? Yeah, Jeff, why this, why now? I think I can answer most of, not possibly answer all of it, but certainly most of the why this, why now. So here's what has happened, and then let's take in the big picture of extending the contract of Dak Prescott. Yep, why this, why now? Know this, he's the quarterback now for a few more years. He's the quarterback now for a minimum of 3 years. I would not like to predict beyond 3, but I think it's pretty safe given what is now being reported, given what his bosses, that's not the coach, his real bosses have to say. So he's the Dallas Cowboys quarterback for a minimum of 3 years. That's the way it is. Now, you can come at this in a couple different ways. And I'll do the boring, nerdy part, but you can come at this any way you would like. I don't know that you're necessarily wrong. One, you can believe the men of the Jones family who are in charge of the Dallas Cowboys. That would not be the head coach. He's mumbling Mike, and he's not doing anything. So you can believe the men of the Jones family. The Joneses, you can believe them. You can agree with them. You can find yourself wanting to agree with them. Any one of those things, you can do that. But they made this deal and have agreed to a long-term marriage to Dak Prescott. And they're saying, and this is the part you can buy into, you can believe, you can take it all in. They're saying we're really, really close, and he'll take us to the next step. He is going to, well, 2 steps actually. But that's how close they say they are. And so they're so close. The logic is, if they're so close, why would you disrupt things? Why wouldn't you keep the marriage? Why wouldn't you stay in the marriage and make it all work for everybody involved? So they're that close. So they're going to pay him more, and they're going to pay him over a longer time. You can believe that if you want. I don't know what percentage of the public does believe that. It's probably not the best time to be asking that question since things didn't end so well. But that's just where they are. It's where they are today. It's what they're saying today. Hey, everybody, we're that close. And one thing we need to do, since we're that close, is make sure we've got that guy for a while. The other take is, man, you guys, you Jones guys, the old man and the son, you guys are crazy. Your window is closing not only on you, but the window's closing on him. Now, you could have that take too. It's entirely possible. That's the more popular of the two. In a weird way, I can argue, I think they're taking the conservative way out. I don't know how much ego you want to put into all this. Not Dak Prescott's ego. This is none of this. None of the deal is his fault. This is not him asking for more. This was not him saying, you extend my contract. This is not him saying, I want to be paid near the highest. I want to be here for the next 6-8 years. I want to be playing when I'm 40. He's not saying that stuff. He didn't do that. At least publicly, he's not doing that. He doesn't say a heck of a lot publicly. This is them, okay? This is the Jones men, and if you want to say they're crazy, go ahead and say they're crazy, but they're sort of taking a conservative approach, and that is, we're just not going to mess this thing up. We're going to keep it going. We're that close. Why would we mess it up? That's what they're doing. Just so you know, that's what they're doing. So what's reported now, CBS Sports reports Cowboys commit to Dak Prescott long term. We want to extend the quarterback. We can win this thing with Dak, is the quote from one of the Jones men. Not the head coach. He doesn't do anything. What are you talking about? This isn't up to him. The Jones men are all in. Say this for the guys. You can criticize them all you want, but you cannot say they're not loyal. And those guys are going to stick with the same employees for sure. So here are the basics of this. The story as reported by CBS Sports Now. 2 years after signing a 4-year, $160 million contract extension. That's 2 years removed from the last extension. Taxpayers. Cowboys Executive Vice President Stephen Jones would like to extend the quarterback again. Quote, we've got a plan to ultimately extend Dak's deal, he says. I've got all the faith in the world we can win this thing with Dak because we know him. We know what he's about. His leadership skills are undeniable. His impeccable work ethic, other than he hadn't won some key playoff games. I'll insert, yeah, that's kind of a thing. But the very loyal Stephen Jones says, other than he hadn't won some playoff games, he's everything you want in a quarterback. From the day he walked in the door, he won a lot of games. We've just got to get over the hump. Okay? Now, that's what they're going to do. And I don't know why they had to do it now, but I think I can add up the math. I think I can do a little financial work here and figure it out for you. But they didn't have to do this. Okay, this wasn't, there was no gun to anyone's head. There was no, he's going to walk out the door. None of that stuff was going on. I do think they're coming up with some creative accounting, but I think the underlying story is they want to go with a guy. I don't think Stephen Jones is lying. I think he really thinks they're that close. Now, if you want to, we can do this exercise, and I don't think it's that wrong. We can do an exercise that says, now, wait a minute. And I don't think you have to be a face painter to do this, and I'll play along with you. Take a look at that Dallas loss to San Francisco. I think that's what Stephen Jones and his father are doing. And they see a game, and maybe some of you do as well. They see a game where they're really, really close. I mean, look at the score. It was close. They see a game that their quarterback is fine, and if he could just get some help, then they're going to win. That's what they see. Some of you might see the same thing. And so they see that, and then they think, gosh, we're about to win that game. We're about to go to Philadelphia and get blown up there, but we're about to win in San Francisco. So that's what they see. That's where he's coming from. And it's, you could see some of that. I can. I got it. All right. So, but then here's the problem. See, here's where things start to get upside down. And it's, so you see that game, right? You see that game and you think, man, if he just hadn't thrown it to the other team a couple of times and maybe this or that, and, you know, we're close. Then there's the other side of this, and this is the other side that says, now wait just a second. Why would you extend the contract, which is already a huge contract? At the time, you made him one of the two highest paid players in the game. At the time, just 2 years ago, no doubt the market has changed. No doubt the market is increasing. Business is better than ever in pro football, so everyone's going to make some more money. But you didn't have to do this. In fact, if you just look at the numbers, there's nothing logically that would tell you to do this. For example, he has 2 seasons left on his contract, the one you just did. He's 30, and it's a hard 30. I know that's weird to say. It's a hard 30. The guy's taken a beating. He's been hurt a lot. He's not that far removed from having his leg snapped in half. He's 30. He's coming off. Now, just think about this. He's coming off his worst seasons. I guess you could say arguably, but he's coming off his worst season. Who re-ups a deal when someone is on the other side of the career path and they're coming off their worst season? He was tied in the league for interceptions. He had 15 interceptions. Well, but what do you mean, but? He played 5 less games than anyone else and still tied for the league lead in interceptions. That's a terrible look. That is not a positive metric. He had 2,860 yards. He had 23 touchdowns and 15 interceptions. That's not very good. I mean, there's not a whole lot about that. If you look at a balance sheet that says, I need to spend more. I need to spend more money on that. Now, they're looking at it a different way. Some of you fans may look at it a different way and say, yeah, but 4 playoff appearances in 7 seasons. Sheesh. Postseason, 11 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 2-4 in the postseason. If you just remove the likable lunch pail guy that he is, the nice face of the franchise that doesn't do stupid stuff, that's not all over, that I know of, all over social media. He's, he's everybody's favorite employee. No doubt. He's the guy you want to go to work with. There is no arguing that. But you know what? At the end of the day, you're a bottom line business. And the bottom line is not very good. Or to hear Stephen Jones go Tony Robbins on you, then we're that close. So that 15 interceptions, and he threw the tied for the league lead. They're that close to that only being 4 interceptions. Got it? That's how close they are. So you can do with this whatever you want. I mean, it's really a matter of, how you're going to maneuver those numbers. How are you going to work your way through the bad numbers to find the good numbers? The stuff you like. This is a big, big deal. This is a really, really important sort of franchise moment. I mean, this is their direction now. The old man is, who knows how old he is. He feels like he's 100, but he's not around that much longer. So this is it for them. This is 3 years with this guy. This is the way it's going to be. So they look at the 49ers game. And I think that's where they're jumping off. Hey, we see that game. We got that far. We're really not that far off. Now, you want to believe them and say they're not that far off, go right ahead. 512-834-1027. That's 512-834-1027. You don't want to believe them and say, are you kidding? I heard this word guy just read the numbers. The window's closing. You got that too. So the accounting is part of this. And let me nerd out for all of you and do some, you can be a fan, you can do the face painting thing, and let me do the accounting part of this. There's more to this than accounting, but the accounting can't be completely dismissed. And the accounting works to back them up, and it works in 2 ways. So salary caps are on paper. Salary caps are predicated on revenues. Revenues are going up, so every team is factoring in on their balance sheet how much more we have to spend. With the salary cap, you can move numbers. You can move present day numbers down the road. They're doing that with Dak Prescott. They're going to sign him to more years and spread the money out over more years. Now they owe him the money over the long term. Okay, but they're spreading the money out. So what they're doing right now is, one, you have to decide, do you believe this is your guy? If so, you extend the contract. They've done that. Okay, there's nothing else to read into it than that. This is their guy for the next 3 years. That said, they have found a way, I'm sure with his agreement, that they're going to move money around back in the contract sum. It frees them to give up money now. Their sales pitch to him and to you is this. We've got some extra money we've just developed out of this deal with him. We're going with him, and we're going to go find him some help. That's what they're doing. They're going to take the money that is spread out over time and say, you know what, buddy, we're going to go with you. You're our guy. You're the next 3 years. You're the face of the franchise for the next 3 years. We don't want to listen to those talk shows. We don't want to listen to the numbers. We're not going to take a look at the numbers. We got an extra, I believe it's $23 million. We're going to go find you a player. We're going to go find that one player you need, and that one player is going to take us to the Super Bowl with you. That's what they're doing. They're spreading the money out so they have more money present day to go get him a player. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a player. It's not a group of players. I think they're going to spend the money on a player, and I don't know who that is, but they do. There. Now, here are the questions for all of you. Do you believe what they're saying? Do you buy this? Now that I've explained some of the money of this, is it easier to digest? Is it easier to appreciate? Is it easier to see their position? I don't, by the way. I don't. But they don't want to blow it up. They don't. And it would take a lot of guts. It would take a lot of creativity. It would take a lot of time to blow it up. To say, we're going to move up in the first round because we found a quarterback and we are moving on. There. So you can believe them and you can say, you know what, this is the prudent course to take. This is the old-fashioned course to take. This is, you could say, even possibly a safer course. So their thinking is they won't say who it is, but I'll say it for them. They're one dynamic receiver away from being in the Super Bowl. That's what they are betting on. That's exactly what they're trying to do right now. Okay, with him. Not without him, with him. Now, if you believe that, you'll approve of this move. I'm saying some of the stuff that I'm not quite sure the Joneses will say or can say because they don't know how. But I'm saying they're spending money on a wide receiver that they're arguing is going to make Dak Prescott that much better, and they're going to go to the Super Bowl with that. Okay. Or if you don't agree with that concept, you could easily say, and I think I'm going to do this, you could easily say, you just screwed yourself and your franchise for the next 3 years. You just made sure you're not going to get that much better. Okay. It's at least 3 years, by the way. It's at least 3 years. There's no getting around that. So they didn't have to commit to him, but they did. It's a giant contract. He had a giant contract. It's going to run out in 2 years. They didn't. They committed to him long term. I've said many times I'm not a big believer in the financial future being beyond 4 or 5 years with practically anybody. So he's going to get paid for the next easily 4 to 6 years, if not longer. They think they just freed up money. They did, to go buy another player that's going to take them 2 steps further. Bottom line is the Jones boys, the men of the Jones family who run the franchise, probably no conversations whatsoever with the head coach because he just doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. They say their success is getting to a Super Bowl. They seem to be saying that. And over the next 3 years, that is completely dependent upon Dak Prescott and a mystery player. That's it. That's their deal. That's where you are today. It didn't have to happen today. It could have happened later on, but they wanted to do it now. I think they wanted to do it now before the draft. I think they want to do it now before free agency. I think they want to do it now for accounting reasons. So there is your Dallas Cowboys' immediate future. Him and a mystery player, done. What they're looking for, if I were to fill in the blanks, they tried to make happen before, and I believe the old man screwed it up as usual. The old man screwed it up by talking too much and vomiting on his own shoes. What they're looking for is Odell Beckham Jr. before he blew out his knee for a second time. That's what they're looking for. That's exactly what they were doing a few months ago when the old man screwed it up completely. He talked too much, but his talking should tell you what they're looking for now. And it's not a bad look. That is, Odell Beckham Jr., before his knees were blown out again, is a really good fit for the Dallas Cowboys. But, his knees are blown out again. That's a problem. That's what they want. Now, maybe it's out there. I don't know. I can't answer that just yet. I don't think they can. But that's what they're looking for. And that's what I think they thought they had when the old man vomited on his shoes. That's the guy they're looking for, and that's why they freed up the money. Okay? That's where they're trying to go. I don't think it's him, but maybe they bring him back and say, wow, you're recovered. You're great. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's exactly what they're going to end up doing. The other option would have been to not extend Dak Prescott's contract. You would go after a quarterback in the draft. You would try to find a cheaper offensive player, and then you go into next year with pretty much the same team with a different quarterback. You don't extend Dak Prescott. He is a very, very expensive backup quarterback for the next 2 years. Okay, that's what they could have done otherwise. I think extending Dak Prescott is a calculated risk. I don't think it pays off in the grand scheme of Super Bowls, but I think they took a calculated risk that's probably the least risky path to take. There. I think I've set it up for you. It's a big deal. It is the deal. It is the franchise-defining. They have a lot of defining moments, but this is it. I mean, this is the short-term course. This is what you're going to see for the next couple of years. This is, we're all in, okay? There's no gray area here. They are all in with this guy, unless they are completely lying publicly, and they're completely lying publicly, and they totally throw the guy under the bus, which is always a possibility. But let's assume it's not a total lie. Let's assume they're telling you the truth, because I think they want to do some PR with this. I think they're trying to get ahead of this to try to sell you on the concept because they do care. This defines their franchise. This deal with this guy and this mystery player is everything.